Wanted to thank you for joining us. It's morning here in Tampa, Florida, where I am. Hopefully where you are, everybody's staying safe and your families are safe and healthy. Wanted to just share a few things before we get started. We'll talk a little bit about who we are, but our focus really with this webinar and a lot of the videos that we have posted on our LinkedIn page and also accessible via our website are meant to educate and inform you, and also to help you have some distractions in this trying time. Our focus is on the long term, and obviously you're tuning in today because you have an interest in coming to the United States in some way, shape, or form. Today we're going to mainly focus on the E-2 visa, and we're going to it's a certain type of visa that allows people to come live and work here in the United States. There are different ways and different paths to citizenship and permanent residency as well that we'll very lightly touch on. Throughout the presentation, as we go through it, please, there's a Q&A button on your screen. If you will type your questions in there, we'll try to address those at some point, most likely toward the end of the presentation. And to the extent that we don't get to any questions, we'll have some contact information at the end for you to be able to reach us. Our goal, obviously, is to find or provide you with everything that you need to answer any questions. We're also available, obviously, to move things to the next step, which we'll talk about at the end as well, if you'd like to start pursuing this or other avenues into the United States. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is presentations about the E-2 visa, how to invest, work, and live in the United States. So essentially, we're going to talk today, we're going to talk a little bit about InvestAmerica. We're going to talk about the E-2 visa specifically, and all the different ways that you can obtain the E-2 visa. There's also some alternative routes that we'll touch on, as I mentioned, permanent residency, and then we'll talk about how we get started with each other if you'd like to pursue any of these avenues. It's important to note that InvestAmerica, since we started almost 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, we've lived by one mission, and that is to guide, protect, and support families as they immigrate to a better life in America. And I know that that sounds a little pretentious, but at the end of the day, that's what we do. And you'll find out why we do that, and why not only do we have that as our company mission, but also the requirements that we have from being registered securities professionals, and why that makes us different than most other groups out there in the immigration space in the United States. So today I'm going to be speaking, this is the English version. We're also going to be doing a Portuguese version at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and a Spanish version at 12 p.m. Eastern time that Mila Dilano, our Global Development Coordinator, will be leading. Mila is also the one to contact if you'd like to get things started with us and have any questions after the webinar. This is a quick view of our full team. We've got a team of very experienced professionals from a lot of different walks of life and experiences. Also located throughout the United States and London. So we've been operating in international markets for a very long period of time, and we've accumulated a very talented group of people to help us really get families successfully transitioned from where they are originally from to the United States. So the InvestAmerica E-2 program, it's really not our program, it's the United States program. But as it says here, we work with the applicants from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, excuse me, It's a little different, and we'll talk about that too, depending on where you're from, whether or not the E-2 treaty applies to your country, and ways to work with that if you are from a non-E-2 treaty country. But this is, again, an avenue to help you live and work in the United States. And we'll talk about a lot of the benefits that go along with that. So these are some of the questions that people are asking, and I'm sure there's many more questions. On our website, we do have an FAQ section that you can log into later if you'd like to answer some other frequently asked questions. But these are some of the questions that people ask when they're considering moving to the United States. So let's talk about some of the features of the E-2. The E-2 visa is a work visa that allows the investor, their spouse, and all their unmarried children under the age of 21 to come and live and work in the United States. It's a visa that, depending on what country you're from, allows the indefinite renewal of that visa every 2 to 5 years. The requirements are that you employ U.S. people. There's no minimum level like there is for EB-5, but you have to show gainful employment of U.S. employees and show an economic impact from the business that you're doing. So there's some businesses that are a little challenging to demonstrate that. You also have to show that you're profitable, and you also have to show that you control the business. The investment size is less of an issue, and more of, do you control the business? Do you run it, or have somebody run it for you? And do you have an economic impact with your business in the community that you move to in the United States? While you're here and on this active visa, your spouse can work anywhere. Your children under the age of 21 can go to school using their local tuition rates if it's a private school, or access to free public school, which is available throughout the United States. The E-2 is a dual intent visa. And what that basically means is when you get your E-2 visa, you can pursue another visa in the United States. You can pursue permanent residency at the same time. There are some visas that don't allow that, and it's problematic if you want to subsequently apply for permanent residency. But E-2 is not one of those visas. It's a dual intent visa. In fact, we've had many investors in the past do an E-2 visa first because it allows for quicker entry into the United States, and then they pursue an EB-5 or some other permanent residency so they can get the green card for their families. And this is important for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, if the goal is to long-term have one or more of your family members live in the United States as a permanent resident and ultimately become a citizen, then this is an avenue for you. And also, as I mentioned before, children under the age of 21 are allowed to come with you on the E-2. However, once they reach the age of 21, unless they have another visa, they cannot stay on your E-2 visa anymore. So they either need to pursue a student visa if they're going to university, or hopefully, again, if you want to pursue permanent residency through EB-5, that will also allow them to stay. E-2 visas are fairly quick, as I mentioned. The process can take as little as 4 months, although typically we've seen that it takes anywhere from 6 to 9 months, from the very start to the very finish. The good thing about the E-2 visa is that it's not adjudicated. Your petition is not reviewed and approved at a U.S. immigration office here in the United States. It's done at the U.S. consulate in your native country, or in the country that you have citizenship that is an E-2 treaty country. And those typically can be approved anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months, depending on the backlog and the country. It says here investment amounts can be as small as $100,000, and that's technically true. The requirement is that it'd be a substantial amount of money, substantial investment. We found that you need to probably put in at least $150,000 to $200,000 for it to be considered substantial at the very minimum. Most of the investors that we deal with put in around $300,000 to $500,000 on average. So here's some additional points here. What we provide to you is really sort of a full service from the very beginning to the very end, and the very end meaning when you file your petition. So we can help you, number one, obviously, in the beginning, answer questions. We can help you understand different aspects of living and working in the United States. Once you've made the decision that this is something that you want to do, we can help you to obtain a U.S. immigration attorney, which you're going to need to file your petition. We will help you find an E-2 business plan writer, which is essential for your E-2 application. The most important thing we do is help you find a business. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go here. As I mentioned, introductions to experienced U.S. Immigration Counsel and other legal counsel. It's very important that you find somebody both on the immigration side and the corporate legal side that have done an E-2 petition or many E-2 petitions successfully before. And we have a list of very reliable U.S. immigration attorneys that we work with, and we also have other legal experts that can help you with formations of companies, legal formation of companies, as well as other documents you may need, including, you know, if the business that you're investing in is leasing their office space, leasing their space, you'll need to deal with contracts and leases. Those are things, again, that will help you find legal experts to help you, and that will help you on the negotiation side. One of the first things we do, everybody that comes to us basically has 3 different avenues that they want to take. Some people want to start their own business, which we will help counsel you to do that. It's it's probably the most risky of the 3 options, just because starting a brand new business in a brand new country is typically not I would say a preferred route, just because it makes the risk of failure higher for the business, as well as making sure that it's structured properly to qualify for immigration. The second is seeking a franchise, which allows you to have you know, basically a set business model in a new location, or, you know, purchase of an existing location. And then thirdly, other businesses. If you don't want a franchise, you want to buy or acquire another business in the United States, we can help you find that business, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Actually, the reason why I say all this is one of the things we do to make sure that that if you're interested in the E-2, to make sure that you are best suited for the business that you're selecting, is we do an initial questionnaire at the very beginning. This helps to helps us to assess your training, your background, your interest levels, where do you want to live, what's your education. That helps us to really match you up with the best possible opportunity that will maximize the chance that your business is successful, make sure it's profitable. There's no guarantees, obviously, but we're trying to minimize the chance of failure and increase the chance of success. So we do that through an initial questionnaire that helps us and all the groups that we work with best assess the business that might be right for you. We also have and this is an optional service. Once you've selected your E-2 and you start planning your move to the United States, there's obviously lots of decisions you need to make. Again, where you're going to live, what house are you going to buy or rent, what doctors are good, what schools are good for your children, those types of things. We have that as an optional service to help you get acclimated and set up in the United States. So why work with us? I've been in the business since 2010 and formed InvestAmerica in 2012. We've specialized in providing investment for immigration services to over 300 families since that time, both in E-2 as well as EB-5. And our goal, again, is to guide, support, and protect you. And that's what we do. We take that very seriously. And it shows in our experience as well as our success. We have access to a variety of business and franchise options, and you'll see a little bit more of that in a few minutes. That really helps you to make the right choice, gives you lots of variety, lots of ways to find a business that's going to be best suited for you. And list some of the industries here that we've worked in lately with people that have pursued an E-2. The other thing that sets us apart is our due diligence and our transactional experience. And what I mean by that is before we did EB5, we were investment bankers. We helped companies access capital, get funded for their businesses. We help people buy businesses. We help people sell businesses. So we're very experienced, me since 1994, and some of the people, other people that I work with for many years as well on the transactional side, helping negotiate the best possible transaction for our clients and doing due diligence. And what that basically means is analyzing every aspect of the business that you're looking to invest in, from the business model, from the financial projections, from all the different other aspects of the business. Have they been in the business for a long time? If it's a franchise, how many locations do they have? How successful, how profitable are they? Lots of other questions. We do background checks on management teams and owners, all the things that will help you to make a good decision, and also make sure that you don't make the wrong decision getting into businesses that might not be suitable or might be very risky. So what are our differentiators? As I mentioned at the start of this, we are U.S. securities professionals. We are partnered with a group called Sequence Financial Specialists. That is a registered securities broker-dealer. I have several securities licenses, as do many of the people on our team. And what that means is we have to abide by the securities laws of the United States. Actually, everybody needs to abide by that, but we are the professionals in the business that help investors make sure that they're investing in things that are not fraudulent. We make sure that they are, again, we're doing the due diligence to help them make some good, solid investment decisions. And our licenses are whether we continue those licenses successfully or not depends on how successful we are for our investors and how much due diligence we do, how much analysis we do, how much we really help you to understand what you're getting yourself into. So we have a duty to uphold and abide by securities laws, and most of the things that we deal with, actually all the things we deal with, are focused on investments that protect investors. We have done over 120 successful franchise placements on the E-2 side, and we have a combined 20 years experience with our partners that we work with in this space, franchise brokers, as well as other business brokers and database owners that we work with in this in the E-2 side. We've talked about some of these things already. And one of the things we did talk about a little bit is whether you're from an E-2 treaty country or not. We'll talk about, in the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about what that means if you're not. There are currently 80 countries in the world, over 80 countries in the world that have E-2 treaties with the United States. Obviously, that means most of the countries in the world don't, or a majority of the countries in the world don't, but there's ways around that. Talked a little bit about the investment requirements. Must own 50% of the business and must have control. Actually, the control feature, as I mentioned before, is even more important than the ownership percentage. So that's what U.S. immigration lately has been focusing on, is whether or not you actually control the business. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to operate it or manage it. You can hire somebody that's experienced in the industry to do that. You can do it yourself for sure. But a lot of people choose to have a third party or hire people that have experience in the industry to manage the business for them, at least until they can learn the business and then take over management. But the key is control, being able to make the financial decisions, being able to make all the other decisions on behalf of the company. The timeline, it usually takes it says here 4 to 8 months. That's about right. There's lots of processes and things to do. Again, the key thing for us is we want to make sure you select the right business so you can have longevity in the United States. So, as we talked about a minute ago, what if you're not from an E-2 treaty country? I know there's several people from India watching today, and this applies to you. India is not an E-2 treaty country, and the way that typically works to get an E-2 is finding citizenship in another country that does have an E-2 treaty treaty with the United States before you make your E-2 pursuit. Most of the people, and you may have heard, there are two probably key countries that most people do this through. One is Turkey, and the other one is Grenada. The one that we deal with the most is Grenada, and it's a program that we've gotten to know best when it comes to this option. It's also a more flexible option. Basically, it requires another investment, either $220,000 into a real estate project that will earn an annual interest, and you'll be able to sell your interest over time, or a $150,000 donation to the Grenadian government. There are several fees involved with it that are pretty much non-negotiable when it comes to accessing the right platform, the right application, and to get your citizenship there. So altogether, you know, a citizenship in Grenada that you'll need to get first before you do an E-2 is about $300,000. That's about what you'll need. The good thing about this is we'll earn an annual interest on that money, and you can sell that business, or you can sell that interest. Typically, after five-year holding period, if you're selling it to another CBI, citizenship by investment investor, if you're selling it to just a Grenadian citizen or an existing citizen of Grenada, then there is no holding period. That's a new feature that just occurred there. The minute that you get your Grenadian citizenship, you can apply for your E-2, and actually you can get the process going even before that. Looking to find a business, basically you can't file your petition until you've gotten your Grenadian citizenship. We recommend that, and the immigration attorneys that we work with recommend that you at least probably have that Grenadian citizenship for about 3 months to 6 months to make sure that there's no hiccups with U.S. immigration. Again, processing time here is probably a little heavy. It can definitely take a lot less time than that. And you don't have to spend any time there, although Grenada is a really nice place, so you might want to. But there's no requirement for you to spend time in Grenada. Again, this is only for countries that do not have an E-2 treaty with the United States. It requires this extra step in order to get to the E-2. So I'm going to click all these for now because they're a little out of order. We have a focus on established franchise brands that we've dealt with over the years, and our partners have dealt with over the years. And we're looking for ones that typically have less than 50 locations and are in growth mode. They've proven their business model. They've opened up a number of successful operations, and they are in growth mode. And that's important because, number one, you know, everybody, when they start talking about franchises, they say, well, I want a McDonald's franchise, or I want a Starbucks franchise, or I want, you know, something that everybody knows and has heard about. And while those may be available for purchase in some markets, for the most part, they're not. And for the most part, if there are any territories left in the United States for those franchises, it's typically not in very desirable areas. So the key is finding, again, franchises or businesses that have a history, successful history, and have proven their business model. Right now, we represent approximately 140 franchise brands, and that's important because there are going to be some brands that are not going to be available in the areas that you want to live. So we have to have a broad spectrum of franchise brands available in a variety of industries. And if you can think about the industry, we can have access to it. If you're not interested in a franchise and you want to buy a business, we have a database of businesses that are for sale all over the country in lots of different industries, whether it's industrial cleaning, whether it's restaurants, whether it's healthcare. There's lots of different industries available, and we have a national database and access to a variety of business brokers around the country that can provide access to businesses that meet the criteria that we find out from you, again, when we do our initial questionnaire. Our key is to be, our focus is to be a one-stop shop solution for you to make sure that things are done properly. So let's talk a little bit about, just give you a little visual here of some of those franchises that we're talking about. You can see in the fitness industry, and these are obviously in the United States is a very popular industry. There's lots of very successful franchises that have been formed and have operated very successfully in the United States. Here's also some other opportunities. We've got a business or a moving company, massage and spa treatments, restaurants, etc. So again, examples of some of the brands that we represent. So that's E-2. And before I move on to EB5, just want to make sure that you understand all the things that we can help you with there. We're really focused on being with you from the very beginning to the very end, and want to make sure that you understand that. And I'm just actually checking my phone really quick just to make sure that my team has been sending me some notes to make sure that no, I think we're good. So please submit your questions. We're going to move on to the EB5 section now, which will be very quick. And this, again, EB5 is for permanent residency in the United States. We've represented, as I mentioned before, over 300 families from over 20 countries. 100% of those investors have gotten approved for their either conditional green card, which is the first step, or their final unconditional green card, which is the final step after they demonstrate the creation of jobs. So quick message on EB5, and that is permanent residency it's a U.S. green card, and it's for the investor, just like E-2 is for the investor, investor spouse, and all their children under the age of 21. The difference here is once you have a green card, if you're an underage, if you're a child under 21, if your child is under 21, once you get the green card through EB5, once the family gets the green cards through EB5, they have their green cards for life, as long as you abide by the permanent residency guidelines. So you don't have to go find another visa like you did with the E-2 to stay in the United States. The minimum investment is $900,000. So obviously more expensive than the E-2 for requirement. And those are for projects that are listed, that are located in targeted employment areas, which right now is, the definition of that changed in November. So it's a lot harder to find projects that are in suitable areas that, that qualify for that. Otherwise, it would be a $1.8 million US investment. Each investor, the project that they invest in, each must create 10 jobs for each EB5 investor that they have. The process typically takes 2 years. Again, if you're from India and you've heard that the EB5 is taking a long time for Indians, that has been true in the recent past. However, that is changing rapidly, and just announced that the priority date has been shifted significantly forward to October of 2019. So that's almost current, and most people are predicting that Indians will be current, just like the rest of the world, except for China and Vietnam, by the summertime. So come the summertime, Indian investor investing in EB5 will have the same time frame as everybody else in the world, about a 5 to 7 year time frame. 2 years to get your conditional green card approximately, and then 3 to 5 years after that for the permanent green card. And this is available to people, investors in all countries. There are no treaties available, no treaties necessary to access this visa. Again, we do a lot of due diligence. You know, again, mentioned we're regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission as securities professionals, and we have 100% I-526 and I-829 approval rate. Again, that means that every person, every investor that we've worked with have gotten their conditional and or permanent green cards. We've been in, again, since 2010. We do a free consultation. Some people are looking at different EB5 projects, and we have a 21-point term comparison and table comparison that looks at the key aspects and key terms of an EB5 investment offering, and we will give you a free consultation of that, showing either evaluating projects that you're looking at or that others may have, and also being able to compare that to the ones that we represent to show the differences in how we operate and differences in how our clients operate, which again, all centered around protecting the investor, all centered around maximizing the opportunity for you to get your green card and maximizing the opportunity for you to get your money back. We also, as securities professionals, when you make an investment into a EB5 securities offering, even though we represent the projects, once you make that investment, by law, you become our client. So we represent your interests from the moment you invest until the moment that you get your money back, or the moment that the investment is completed. So we're there for you the entire time to be able to make sure you have answers to your questions, make sure you get financial information, make sure you get updates, etc. Here's a quick view of some of the projects that we've worked on. These are all in New York, which is a very difficult place to do EB5 projects now because of the change in the targeted employment area definition I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. But these are some examples of some projects that we've worked on successfully in the past. So this is our current project that we have right now. It's called Circa Resort and Casino. It's a very large new project that's going on in the downtown area of Las Vegas, which is one of the up-and-coming areas. I know Las Vegas, as you may have seen in the news right now, is completely empty because of COVID. I've been seeing some plans on how they're going to get back to letting people in there. They've got a very comprehensive and detailed plan to do that, to at least initially maintain social distancing and all the things that they'll be necessary to do. The good news about Circa is it's still under construction, so they're not losing revenue at the present time. Scheduled to open in December of 2020. It's scheduled to generate almost 9,000 jobs, which is more than enough. It's basically about 80 jobs per investor, so 800 times the amount that you need, or I'm sorry, 800% more than you need for the minimum requirement. And it offers an annual return of 3%, which is very high for EB5 projects. So here's a quick view of some of the features. It's going to be one of the biggest, and will certainly be the newest project in the downtown area of Las Vegas, which has not seen a new casino go up since 1980. It's going to have lots of unique features, a huge pool. It's going to be right along what's called the Fremont Street Experience, which is a very popular area of New York. I'm sorry, not New York, Las Vegas. And lots of other unique features as well. So here's a quick time-lapse video that will show you the construction. As I mentioned, the construction is going on right now. They broke ground in March of last year, and they're right on target. This project has been designated an essential project in Las Vegas. So they've continued to work on this, and again, they're scheduled for completion in in December of 2020. So in a few months from now. They've made so much progress that they've outgrown the scope of the camera that they have on this construction site. So that's our E-2 and EB5 um, presentation. And what we want to do now is just kind of give you an idea of what our next steps could be. As I mentioned, we're going to answer questions here in a second if we have any. I will take a look at our Q&A. If you have not submitted a question and would like to, please do that right now. I think we can. I don't know if we can take live questions or not, but I think we'll work on some that are on here. I can look in the chat or the Q&A side. We can also schedule a Zoom or WhatsApp meeting with you to talk more. As I mentioned, our website, InvestAmerica.com, is a place that you can go for more information. And we can help you start looking down the E-2 or the EB-5 routes that will be available to you and answer your questions, help you evaluate all the different investment opportunities, and also start talking to some U.S. immigration attorneys. You can get some good information from the U.S. immigration attorneys without hiring them. So there are several that are willing to do that, provide free consultations. So, and we have access to them and would be delighted to connect you with those and arrange some contacts. So let's see. I'm going to go to the Q&A here. Let's see. So we have, one second, sorry. First question I see here is, I don't know if it was answered or not, but I'm going to go ahead and read it and answer it. I'm a U.S. citizen, dual citizen living in Costa Rica, married to Costa Rican and 3 Costa Rican boys. I guess this would not be for me. I do not have money to invest. The minimum is 100K. I'm looking to relocate to the U.S. and need a formal job. If you don't have money to invest, that's correct. EB-5, especially, and E-2 are not, can't be for you. However, there are several other options available to relocate to the United States. If you are a U.S. citizen and a dual citizen, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you need help from an immigration perspective, again, we can help you. We can introduce you to an immigration attorney that can answer your questions. Let's see what other questions we have here. Okay, this is a question regarding Circa. What is the construction adjacent to Circa that is in pause, and what is across the street? Well, let's see. Let me go back here. Let's see. I can't see any. The one that are, let's see, the questions. The one that you see in the main thing here, this is all Circa. The tower part that you see that's got the glass cover, that's the main hotel part and resort. Everything you see below that is the casino, and it's a 3-level casino and sports book, as well as restaurants. What you see in front of that is actually the pool area. What you see in front of that, which looks like has an arc right underneath, or right above the thing that says Ox Blue, that's the Fremont Street Experience. So that's a pedestrian walkway that has open bars and zip lining down the middle and lots of lights and activity. So everything that you see there is pretty much the Circa Resort. What you see, the cranes that are kind of across the street, those are actually Circa also, because they're building a parking garage for Circa right across the street. You can see the sky, the connector that goes across to the main hotel across the street. That's from the parking garage to the hotel. So hopefully they answered your question. I'm happy to answer another question on that if you want more details on this project. We can certainly send you some information or set up a time to exchange emails or talk. Okay, next question we have is E-2 route. Being Mexican, what are the risks? If we get the visa, but what happens if it does not get renewed? Well, the risk to you as a Mexican or anybody is pretty much the same. There are no additional risks depending on where you're from. Mexico is an E-2 treaty country, so you don't have to worry about the alternative route, something you can pursue right away. The risks are pretty much business risks that would go along with any investment or operating a business, which again are based on what we do are things that we try to minimize for you. And then and really, that's again something we're looking to help you to minimize those risks and find businesses that will be profitable and that will be renewable. The renewals are indefinite. So as long as the business remains profitable and gainfully employs a few U.S. employees, you will continue to get renewals, especially from Mexico. Mexico is one of the preferred countries, I think, that the U.S. likes to work with on the E-2 side. If it doesn't get renewed, then technically you can lose your E-2 visa and have to go back to Mexico. Typically, what happens is it's a kind of a longer process because it's a lot of back and forth with U.S. immigration to say, hey, we're not going to renew you. Your immigration attorney will argue with them of why you should stay. In the meantime, you can pursue other visa options. Obviously, there's no guarantees that any of those will work. However, it's not it's not approved. You have to move back now. It's a longer process than that. So again, that's why we want to stick with you throughout your entire investment. Make sure that if there are some issues or problems, we can help you find a solution before it becomes a problem. If you see your business is not going to be successful, or if it's not being profitable, we can switch you to another business, or we can again work with your immigration attorney to find you another visa to be able to stay in the country. Hopefully that answers your question. And again, if you need more information, you want to talk in more detail, please let us know. Okay, the next question: in selecting the E-2 visa and the EB-5, which has the highest rate of success? That's a hard question to answer from statistics. When it comes to, number one, they're also looking at they're trying to accomplish two different goals. One is to get you living and working in the United States for an indefinite period of time, but also has, if you sell the business, or if it's not profitable, then you have to go back to your native country. Essentially, I would say for long term, if you're looking to stay in the U.S. for a long term, and it's an investment that you can afford, the EB-5 is probably going to have the most long-term success. Again, making sure that you invest in a good project, because again, once you have the green card, you've got the green card for life, as do your spouse and your children under the age of 21. A lot of people that we've worked with start with an E-2 because it gets them here faster. You mentioned typically within a few months. So it gets you in the United States living and working faster than an EB-5, which you're going to have to wait for at least approximately 2 years before you can enter the United States. But they start with the E-2, and then they, at the same time, almost simultaneously, apply for an EB-5. So that way, after a couple of years, they can either sell the business or not have to worry about the business that they did for the E-2 being successful, and they can just have their green cards. So it really depends on your goals and what you want to do. I would say, again, if you're looking for which one has the highest rate of success when it comes to long-term residency in the United States, EB-5 is probably the way to go. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Let's see. I think. Okay. Let's see. Can you participate in both E-2 and EB-5 at the same time? If your EB-5 program is not being successful, can you switch to an E-2? I think I just answered the first question. You can pursue E2 and EB5 at the same time. Once you get your EB5, E2 is sort of not relevant anymore because you don't really need it. It also may be something that let's just say you want to get permanent residency. You want to do an EB5, but your children have turned 21, so they're not gonna be allowed to be with you on your EB5 permanent green card. You may want to sell them your E2 business so they can stay here on an E2. That may be a reason to keep both of them. But if you apply for both, once you get the EB5, you don't need the E2 anymore. And if your EB5 program is not successful, can you switch to an E2? That's a very good question. I don't think I've ever had that question before. I think so. I don't see why not. Because the only reason why, if your EB5 is not successful, then you're denied for permanent residency. But I don't think there's anything. I'll check on that to be sure. But there's nothing that I can think of that would prevent you from pursuing an E2. So hopefully that answers your question there. All right, let's see. And I think that's it. All right. Let's see if there's any more questions. Nope, that's good. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time today. Again, if you would like to ask us more questions, I'm going to go to the end here so you can see our contact information. Leave that up there until you sign off if you'd like to look at it. This is my email address and Mila's email address, as well as our WhatsApp phone numbers. So you can reach us via WhatsApp or email. Again, go on our website, which is InvestAmerica.com, which is InvestAmerica with a P as in Paul at the end, .com. That will have lots of other resources and information for you. We look forward to speaking with you. Happy to set up a Zoom call or a WhatsApp call with you at any time. Please reach out to us so we can answer more questions and help you along your journey. Thank you again for tuning in, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.